live from inside the UNO Fieldhouse on the campus of the University of Nebraska at Omaha. The UNO Mavericks host the University of Central Oklahoma Broncos in Division II Wrestling. Tonight's broadcast is brought to you in part by Nebraskans for Public Television. Join over 33,000 viewers like you by becoming a contributing member today. Hi, once again, everybody. I'm Torrey Fantelli, and welcome to the UNO Fieldhouse. We've got a barn burner tonight. Numbers 1 against numbers 3. The big thing about this, the Mavericks ranked number 1, Central Oklahoma ranked number 3. Back in January, the Mavericks went down to the Broncos' place and beat them on their mat. So there's a revenge factor, if that's how you want to think about it, for the visiting Broncos tonight. I'd like to welcome a friend of mine, 5-time All-American, national champion, 177 pounds when he wrestled for Mike Denny here at UNO, R.J. Neby, and R.J. for college wrestling. Doesn't get any better than this.
It doesn't get any better than this. These are the two of the top programs in the country at any level. I expect Central Oklahoma to jump out to an early lead, but I know UNO will come storming back in those last 3 matches.
Well, it's always exciting to see that happen. You don't like to play catch-up, but if that's what you have to do, that's what you have to do. We had a chance to talk to both coaches, Mike Denny and David James, and let's see what they have to say about tonight's duel.
They're just a little bit better team than us right now. As far as from top to bottom, they're a very, very balanced team. And without maybe having our full lineup, I'm not going to make excuses. That's what we have tonight for February 14th. And it hurts not having our national champion there at 150, but hey, that's the way it goes. We look forward to the challenge, and we hope that we can be competitive. We know it's going to be a hard-fought match. Every time we wrestle in the University of Nebraska at Omaha, it's always a good, competitive, hard-fought wrestling match, and I anticipate the same thing tonight.
It's going to be a great matchup. It's a great rivalry for us. David James does a great job with their program. They really have, once they came out of the NAIA into Division II, they really elevated Division II for us. It's great to have them in Division II, and it's elevated. It's elevated Division II, and it's really become a great rivalry for us because we've battled with them in duels and in the national meet for a number of years now.
Okay, there you hear what both coaches had to say, and we'll see how prophetic they are. But, R.J., we talked about this earlier. Since Central Oklahoma left NAIA and joined Division II in the NCAA, I mean, it's been good for college wrestling, but they've made it tough, especially in the 90s. But when you look across the other side, the Mavericks obviously have stayed right with them.
I don't think there's any team in any sport in the country that's dominated the way Central Oklahoma has. But UNO, like you said, has been right on their heels every year. And I think this could be the year that UNO regains the title.
There you see the Mavericks ranked number 1, Central Oklahoma ranked 3. You'll see 4 North Central Conference teams in the top 10, and Chadron State represents Nebraska. So we've got 2 teams in the top 10. Let's take a look at how we stack up from top to bottom. I'll tell you what, RJ, we talked about this before, too. I'm not saying this is a given, but this is a real tough Maverick lineup.
Yo, without a doubt. You can't go a lot on ratings, though, because they don't mean anything till the end of the year. The key matches tonight are 134, 142, and 158. The team that comes out with the most victories there will probably win this duel.
All right, in this first matchup, they're ready to go. Chad Short from the Mavericks, he's a senior out of Blackwell, Oklahoma, will be going up against fellow senior Keith Kizarr and a fellow statesman, because Kizarr comes out of Marlow, Oklahoma. Short at 10-7, Kizarr at 15-4. And, you know, we talked about this, too, R.J., how important is the very first match? Because, you know, the lightweight guys, and I mean that by weight, not by ability, but the lighter weights always start off a duel, and sometimes their match helps to set the precedence for the rest of the night.
Oh, without a doubt. This is a key matchup. It gives the momentum for one team or another. You know, whoever can pull off this first victory, it can really turn the tide.
Well, the big thing, too, of course, for people who might just be familiarizing themselves with wrestling, we always talk about ride time. And RJ, from experience, can tell you sometimes ride time can make the difference. Although that's, I mean, you want to get ride time, but obviously your whole objective is to possibly pin or at least outpoint your opponent.
Yeah, without a doubt tonight, I think we'll probably see at least 1 or 2 matches that might come down to that riding time advantage. And what that means is one wrestler has to be in control in the top position for a cumulative time of 1 minute more than what his opponent is on top. And we'll keep an eye on that as the matches go through. So far, haven't had a lot of action here on their feet. Both wrestlers kind of feeling each other out.
And, of course, the out of bounds is called when the referee sees both 2 points of each wrestler outside the circle. So you could have like one wrestler totally out, but another wrestler have 1 foot in, and he's still going to let him go. The referee, of course, is Phil Pasale. Should be a well-known name to Omaha wrestling fans. But again, this is a big NCAA matchup, and the Broncos have been tough ever since, as we said, for the last 7 or 8 years or so.
Yeah, they moved up into the NCAA Division II ranks back in 1990. Since then, they've had 4 national championships and 3 runner-up finishes.
And they did those 4 right in a row, right almost at the start of the decade of the 90s. So they've been the team to beat. But UNO, of course, has a national championship under Mike Denny under its belt, and they have not been anything less than spectacular year in and year out here at UNO.
Still haven't got much action so far in this match. The last time these two met up, Keith Kizarr of Central Oklahoma did pull off a major decision over Chad Short.
And again, they're getting close to out of bounds, and there's the 2, so they have to start it up.
You talked a little bit about the out-of-bounds area. One thing you'll notice in the college ranks is how much wrestling is done on the edge and how much scoring is done on the edge.
That's a good point.
I'll try to keep track of it a little bit tonight, but the team that gets the most what I call edge points will be the more dominant team and probably end up winning the duel, because you'll be surprised how many takedowns and reversals and escapes are scored right on the edge, where one wrestler might drag his toes in, just like a catch in football.
Right.
He can drag those toes, he can still get the score. So
we got 45 seconds left to go in this opening period. They have 3 periods. The first period is 3 minutes long, and then they wrestle 2 2-minute periods.
Neither one of these wrestlers, you look at their records compared to the rest of the lineup tonight, neither one of them. There's Chad Short in on a nice high crotch. Keith Kizarr able to fight it off. Still 25 seconds left to go. Short now basically just trying to hang on and not give up the takedown himself on the counter by Kizarr.
That was a good move. Now you saw a perfect example of why both these wrestling squads are ranked the way they are. I mean, there's no gimmies, but we've got some great matchups, and we'll be talking about some of the other matchups as we get to them. But if you enjoy college wrestling, you can't help but like this.
I don't think the fans at home saw that. little chuckle out of us. The towel boy tripped over the edge of the mat as he was going out to signal the end of the period.
Well, we've completed the first period and with no score. And
Kizarr's choice, he chose the down position.
Now, why would some wrestlers choose that, RJ?
Well, when I'm coaching kids now, I always tell them to take the down position. It's basically what I consider a free point, especially at this level. The chances of you getting turned or getting, near fall points isn't as great. He's going to, more than likely he'll get an escape here, and that's a free point by my standards. Neither, like I was saying earlier, neither one of these wrestlers has wrestled a whole lot this year. Chad Short only wrestled in 17 matches so far this year. He was out early with a broken collarbone during the first semester. Keith Kizarr, on the other hand, was ineligible during the first semester, and he's only got 19 matches. So,
yeah, you can see Short. He had Kizarr by that one leg hold trying to wrap up that other leg, and Kizarr's just keeping his balance and keeping enough fulcrum so Short couldn't tie him up. They finally ended up out of bounds.
Like we said, Keith Kizarr, he's ranked 3rd in the country. Last year was the #1 ranked wrestler in the country going into the national tournament and ended up not placing. So I'm sure he'd like to improve on that finish this year. Chad Short, on the other hand, was an All-American last year, placing 8th. Keith Kizarr placed 3rd 2 years ago.
Well, now he's on top again, and he's just adding to that ride time. But still no score. We're in the second period between the 118-pounders.
Chad Short still able to hang on to this leg, even though it looks like he's in trouble. He's still building up riding time this entire time because Kizarr unable to get the escape.
So we'll set it up again in the center of the mat. Coming up at 126 pounds, T.J. Brummels and Brock Moore. Brummels is a freshman out of Norfolk. If he can get him turned around and get control, he'll have that 2-point takedown. It doesn't look like it's going to happen here.
Still Still no points. There's a reversal awarded by Phil Pasali. Now that riding time still continued to build up until Phil did finally award it. So now it's switched in favor of Kizarr. But there Chad Short gets a quick escape. Chad Short has exactly 1 minute of riding time advantage right now.
So technically we've got a tied match, but of course that's not the
Let's
final
listen in
three.
here.
Anywhere from 7 to 10 seconds. They got at least 5 or 6 seconds.
It wasn't run down.
No, they didn't start it till he
Want to run 7, 6 seconds off? What?
So really, Chad's got 54 seconds.
Keep track of it.
Okay, you heard exactly. They were talking about ride time, and we talked about the importance of that.
When you got a match that's this close, you know, when it comes down to 1 or 2 points on whether or not you go into overtime, this riding time could become very important. What ended up happening there, apparently there was a malfunction on the clock. It didn't count down when Kizarr was in the dominant position. And so, although the clock shows 1 minute for Chad Short, they said he's actually 6 seconds short of that. They can't get that clock to work backwards. So there's a stall warning against Chad Short. He can't continue to back out like that. He's got to at least attempt to circle or make some type of offensive attack, a shot or something like that. We're down to 21 seconds here in the second period.
Short trailing 2-1 to Kizarr from Central Oklahoma. But the ride time, of course, it gives an added point. But you mentioned earlier that Short could call for stalling. You can't do that too many times, or that'll hurt you too.
Well, not only that, but not only could he be penalized points, but getting warned changes the whole style of way you're going to wrestle the rest of the match. Now
Right.
He's got to be a lot more aggressive than he might normally and might make a mistake. So it'll be Chad Short's choice here, and I knew he'd take the down position again. Like I said, he's going to try to get that escape point. If he does get an escape, that'll tie it up, and what will probably end up happening in this match is the guy who gets the last takedown is going to win.
Well, this is it. As we mentioned, we'll probably see it stepped up a little bit here now in the final 2 minutes of this match. Keith Kizarr from Central Oklahoma leading 2-1 over Chris Short of UNO. The opening match of this duel between the numbers 1 and 3 teams in the nation.
Both these wrestlers former state champs from the state of Oklahoma in their high school career. Chad, a one-time state champ. Keith Kizarr, a 3-time state champ in the state of Oklahoma. You win the state title in Oklahoma 3 times, you're no slouch.
Well, yeah, there's no question about that. I mean, they definitely, people don't realize, who don't follow high school or collegiate wrestling, I don't think they understand just how strong Oklahoma is. If you can make an analogy, the way football is in Texas in high school, wrestling is the same in Oklahoma.
There's an escape for Chad Short that ties it up. At this point in the match, riding time is not a factor. So like I said, it's probably going to come down to who gets the last takedown is going to win this match.
Oh, and then Short just made a move for Kizarr at the back of Kizarr's head and poked Kizarr in the eye. So we'll have some injury time. I don't think it's going to be a major factor. Wrestlers get X amount of wrestling time, and after that, you just got to wrestle or,
That's right. In the college ranks, you get him. There's a nice single leg takedown. No, he hasn't scored yet. Referee Phil Pasali still hasn't awarded the points yet. Kizarr does have a near side cradle locked on Chad Short.
Short, great job to get out of bounds.
No points awarded. Phil Pasali didn't feel that Kizarr actually had ever gotten the takedown, even though he had the near side cradle locked on. Didn't award the takedown. Again, the case right on the edge. The edge was important there. Chad Short was able to get out of bounds.
Well, Coach James didn't like that call at all.
Good shot attempt by Short. Again, like I said, he has been warned for stalling. That's also could be a factor here in the third period. He's got to stay on the attack at all times because he starts getting defensive. Referee Phil Pasali will call him for stalling, and that'll cost him the match.
And a lot of times wrestlers, I don't know if they consciously go into that defensive mode. I think they feel sometimes things are slipping away, and it's just a natural reaction. But as you said, that rule's built in for a reason. It's to keep the action going, or else, I mean, you could stall all day long, and one, it doesn't help the sport. Two, it doesn't do anything for the match. Less than half a minute to go in this final period at 118. We're tied at 2.
Keith Kizarr in on another shot attempt. trying to finish. Chad Short basically just trying to hang on at this point. If he can hold on for another 10 seconds, we'll have an overtime right off the bat in tonight's lineup.
Now you see Pasali down there. They roll over, but still nothing.
Oh!
Is that a reversal? No,
No.
he said no. They said time ran out.
Time ran
no
out
points
before.
scored.
We're going to go overtime now. Overtime is 2 minutes of sudden death. First wrestler to score wins. However, Chad Short, his warning for stalling will carry over. So again, if he gets warned, that's a point. Match is over.
Match is over. Boy, I mean, he just missed getting that reversal just before the end of the period. And they're still looking at Kizarr's eye, by the way.
In college wrestling, the wrestler gets a minute and a half of injury time. If he's bleeding, that does not count against his injury time. He does get all the blood time that he needs.
Right. I don't think I ever saw you give up blood time. I'm serious. I don't think I have. Your opponent maybe, but not you.
I had to get a few stitches in my day.
So there you see Chris Short, and
Red, your warning carries over. Here we go.
There you go. Phil Pasali just acknowledging to Chad Short that his warning for stalling does carry over into overtime.
and this is going to be a big one. They need points. Somebody's got to make, well, again, Chris Short's got to make sure he looks like he's doing something.
Good low single shot by Keith Kizarr.
Boy, this could be trouble. Short
Now
does
he
a good
switches
job.
off to a double. Short is in trouble at this point. And referee Phil Pasali does award the takedown to Keith Kizarr. So Central Oklahoma will jump out to an early 3-0 lead after an overtime takedown victory by Keith Kizarr from Central Oklahoma.
Man, I'm not going to say I'm surprised, but I thought when the way that Short was able to fight back and stay even during the regulation time, that maybe even with that stall warning that he'd be able to come out a little bit and get a hold in this overtime. But well, Kizarr, he's ranked nationally for a reason, and he got it done. All right, we're going to set this up. 126 pounds. T.J. Brummel's a freshman out of Norfolk, taking on Brock Moore, who's a sophomore out of Choctaw, Oklahoma.
I'll tell you, we were talking.
We gotta wait for him to flash his go.
We were talking a little bit earlier about how dominant